The dark side behind Jay-Z's Roc Nation. What if the glitz and glamour of Jay-Z's Roc Nation hides something much darker? I will unravel the scandals and conspiracies haunting Roc Nation. From the Tory Lanez / Megan Thee Stallion shooting drama and whispered interference, to Halle Bailey's messy relationship saga, and Beyonce's rumored wrath, to a shocking lawsuit within the Roc Nation family itself, and even the alleged secret ties between Jay-Z and Diddy. This is the dark side behind Jay-Z's Roc Nation. Is Jay-Z's powerhouse label Roc Nation a brilliant music empire, or a puppet master pulling dark strings behind the scene? Ever wondered what really went down with Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion and why some blame Roc Nation? Or what the Little Mermaid Halle Bailey's relationship drama has to do with Jay-Z's camp? How about a lawsuit where Roc Nation's CEO is accused of treating her own daughter like a pawn in a power game? And we can't forget the two Seans, Mr. Carter and Mr. Combs, and the shadowy ties between Jay-Z and Diddy that have led to some jaw-dropping accusations. So let's jump right in. A shooting in Hollywood, a stalled career, and the fingers pointing at Roc Nation. Tory Lanez versus Megan Thee Stallion, Roc Nation's involvement. In July 2020, an incident in the Hollywood Hills left rap megastar Megan Thee Stallion wounded in the foot and fellow artist Tory Lanez in the crosshair of public outrage. Megan accused Tory Lanez of shooting her after a night of partying. Fast forward to December 2022, Tory Lanez was found guilty on all charges in the shooting trial. Justice served, case closed, right? Not so fast. This is where Roc Nation enters our story like a shadowy figure in the back of the courtroom. Here's a setup. Megan Thee Stallion had become part of Roc Nation family in 2019, signing a management deal with Jay-Z's company. Having Roc Nation in her corner supercharged her career and, according to some, gave her a powerful ally during the Tory Lanez saga. Tory himself hinted that Roc Nation tried to silence him early on. He claimed that shortly after the shooting, he got a call advising him not to make a public statement about the incident. A call he implies came from Roc Nation direction.
I get a call from Roc Nation that says, yo, we heard you're gonna make a statement about what happened, and it'd be in your best interest if you don't make that statement. So I'm like, oh, okay, I don't understand what the issue of me telling my fans, like, yo, look, it's not that serious of a deal. I went to jail for whatever this is. Like, I didn't get for that 2 days why that was an issue.
A claim that Roc Nation hasn't confirmed. Tory even rapped on a later track about Jay-Z and Roc Nation, suggesting they had his lawyer in their pockets. Meanwhile, Megan was vocally supported by a Roc Nation team and high-profile allies. The trial turned into a spectacle of facts versus fervent fan theories. Tory Lanez's father, Star Peterson, provided one of the most dramatic moments after the guilty verdict. Outside the Los Angeles courthouse, he exploded into a fiery rant, pointing fingers directly at Roc Nation.
I'll tell you exactly how I feel. I got some names that I want to call. Alex Spiro, DESIREE PEREZ, and the whole wicked system of Roc Nation, including you, Jay-Z.
He literally invoked a biblical tone and shouted, "Roc Nation, you will crumble." In his outburst, he accused Megan's Roc Nation management, even naming DESIREE PEREZ, Roc Nation's CEO, and Jay-Z himself of orchestrating a wicked injustice.
Jay-Z, let me speak to you.
He has kids!
Roc Nation!
Yes.
My son refused to sign a Roc Nation deal with you.
Yes!
And DESIREE PEREZ, you wicked witch, you snitch.
Yes!
You turned on your co-conspirators, all the whole mafia, one of you that was peddling drugs in this country, and you rolled on them before so the Fed could give you a deal.
Think of a movie scene where a defeated protagonist vows revenge. That was Tory's dad.
Nobody?
But nobody. It's John Wick.
According to him, the whole trial was corrupt and Roc Nation was behind it. It was a mic drop moment in conspiracy land. Now let's be clear, there's no concrete evidence that Roc Nation tampered with the trial. The judge, jury evidence, none of that pointed to Jay-Z hiding in the jury deliberating room, whispering, "Find him guilty." But the perception among Tory's supporters was that Roc Nation had it out for him. In other words, some folks believe Jay-Z is an all-powerful mastermind playing chess with people's lives. dark, huh? Also worth noting, Megan's battles weren't only with Tory. She also had a messy fight with her original record label, 1501 Certified Entertainment, run by a former baseball player called Crawford. When Megan signed with Roc Nation for management, her relationship with 1501 soured badly. In 2020, she sued 1501, claiming they had her in an unfair, exploitative contract. Cole Crawford fired back in the press, accusing Jay-Z and Roc Nation of approaching Megan and turning her against her own label. She signed with Roc Nation in August and decided she didn't want to pay me anymore. Crawford vented.
I haven't got paid for one show since 2019.
Okay.
So you know what I'm saying? This girl doing $300,000-400,000 a show, bro, for 2-3 years.
And I think you was doing what, 30% of that, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I think
so. As soon as she got with Roc Nation, they stopped paying me. You know what I'm saying? They just shut everything down.
So Roc Nation's reputation in some circles was that of a corporate shark, swooping in to steal talents and bully the smaller players. Whether that's fair or not, it shows how the name Roc Nation carries weight in any controversy involving their artists. People assume they play hardball. In Tory Lanez case, the hardball theory is that Roc Nation backed Megan legally and PR-wise, helping ensure Tory's conviction. On the flip side, critics say that's nonsense. Tory shot someone and Roc Nation's only involvement was managing the victim's career. Still, the incident cemented a narrative for many. Roc Nation as the behind-the-scenes fixer or enforcer. It doesn't help Roc Nation image that one of their top executives has her own history of legal drama and questionable methods. Hold that thought. We'll get to her soon. The facts are that a jury decided that Tory Lanez shot Megan, and he's serving time. While the rumors are Roc Nation tried to silence Tory and influence the case. Well, picture Jay-Z as an all-powerful Oz, pulling levers behind a curtain. Tory's dad basically painting Roc Nation as the Wicked Witch of the West, crackling as Tory melted down. The whole saga gave Roc Nation a sort of mob boss rap on the internet. Mess with our star and we'll make you disappear. From one dramatic showdown, we move on to another, this time involving an R&B starlet, her YouTuber boyfriend, a baby, and Beyoncé. Get ready because our next chapter dives into the story that feels part fairy tale, part reality TV, and Roc Nation's influence is lurking in the background of this one too. Halle Bailey and DDG. Love, rumors, and Roc Nation's watchful eye. Remember the singer Halle Bailey, the angelic voiced half of Chloe and Halle, Beyonce's protege, and recent star of Disney's Little Mermaid? She seemingly had a picture-perfect rise until her personal life got very public and very messy. Halle's long-term relationship with rapper/YouTuber DDG, real name Daryl Granberry Jr., has spiraled into a soap opera of its own, complete with accusations of abuse and a custody battle over their infant. It's the kind of drama you'd expect on a VH1 reality show, not in a Disney princess universe, and yet, here we are, and the Roc Nation circle is watching over this saga like an overprotective parent. So what happened? In early 2023, Halle and DDG welcomed the baby boy, but by late 2024, the relationship had reportedly fallen apart. Fast forward to mid-2025, DDG filed for a domestic violence restraining order against Halle, claiming she posed a threat to their 17-month-old son. He alleged in court documents that Halle had taken a firearm during an emotional breakdown and was found in an alarming state with the weapon. Yikes, the Little Mermaid packing heat is not the Disney ending we imagined. DDG portrayed Halle as emotionally unstable, accusing her of making repeated threats of self-harm and even suicidal statements throughout their on and off relationship. Essentially, in his filing, DDG painted Halle as a psychological risk to herself and their child. Halle, on the other hand, has her own claims. She herself accused DDG of subjecting her to emotional and physical abuse, and in May 2025, she was granted a temporary restraining order against him. Talk about toxic back and forth. This pair went from posting cute TikToks to trading blows in court filings. Meanwhile, DDG alleges Halle once grabbed his gun while pregnant and disappeared, threatening to kill herself. It's heavy stuff on both sides. Now, where does Roc Nation come in? Halle Bailey isn't signed to Roc Nation as an artist. She's actually signed to Beyonce's Parkwood Entertainment, which is closely affiliated with Columbia Records. However, Beyonce is of course married to Jay-Z and a part of the Roc Nation extended family. Halle is Beyonce's mentee. Beyonce discovered Chloe and Halle and has guided them for years. In the court of public opinion, many fancy Halle as being under the Carter Knowles protective umbrella, and the internet rumor mill exploded with the idea that Beyonce, and by extension Roc Nation, was not only watching the drama but possibly intervening. When news of Halle and DDG's tumultuous relationship became public, some fans began speculating that Beyonce was furious at DDG and how he treated Halle. We're talking Beyonce vows to ruin his career kind of rumors. The narrative was that Bey, with Jay-Z behind her, allegedly stepped in, basically saying, "Not on my watch," to DDG's behavior. Some insiders and blogs also allege that Roc Nation's PR machine might be in overdrive around Halle's situation. Consider this: despite how sensational the Halle DDG drama is, Disney's princess turned courtroom drama, it hasn't dominated headlines the way you'd expect. A theory floating on TikTok and Instagram is that Roc Nation is quietly managing the narrative, possibly by keeping Halle's image clean and planting negative stories about DDG to undermine his credibility. One viral TikTok by a commentator named Zayas outright claimed Roc Nation is strategically planting fake stories on TMZ to destroy DDG's career so Halle can get full custody of their child.
There's a strategical game being played here. From everything that you see, like TMZ didn't just get this information. It was submitted to TMZ, okay? And all I'm gonna say is, like I said, there's a strategical game being played here, and she beat him to it, you know, from the court, from the legal aspect. Now he gotta go, fight this shit. And, it's two sides to every story, and there's the truth.
According to this theory, Jay-Z's team is basically running a black ops PR campaign, painting DDG as a villain, ensuring Halle looks like the innocent one, and ultimately protecting Beyonce's investment in Halle's career. Wild? Absolutely. Impossible? Who knows? In Hollywood, powerful figures do sometimes pull strings in media, so it's not completely far-fetched that Team Roc Nation would try to control a narrative involving someone as close to them as Halle. Another bit of speculation: some fans mused that Roc Nation's legal eagles might be advising Halle. After all, Roc Nation is known to support its extended family's legal battles. They've famously aided artists like 21 Savage and others in legal troubles. If Halle is basically Beyonce's little sister / protege, it wouldn't shock anyone if Jay-Z's resources are at her disposal. This could mean top lawyers or quiet settlement negotiations behind closed doors. I don't have the documents proving Roc Nation is footing Halle's legal bills, but the mere hints of it gives that Big Brother Jay-Z vibe. You mess with his people, he steps in, quietly or otherwise. On the flip side, DDG hasn't been shy about addressing rumors. He's an internet savvy guy, YouTuber after all, and reportedly laughed off the idea that Jay-Z or Beyonce are out to get him.
A nigga can walk in this room right now and have an AK-47 shoot me in my kneecap and rob me right now on stream. I'ma wake up, I'ma get up from the ground after getting my ass whooped and shot in my leg in GTA. I'ma get back in this chair. Look, this is what I'm gonna do. And I'ma hit this. Shazam! I'ma still hit my boom button, still hit my Shazam.
In one tongue-in-cheek post, DDG joked about all the Roc Nation rumors, basically saying, "Who is Roc Nation? Do they have a hit out on me or something?" with laughing emojis. You can imagine him nervously checking around the corners for a suited man named Julius, Beyonce's famous bodyguard, ready to pounce. It's also worth noting the fan dynamics. Halle has a lot of young fans who adore her and have been quick to demonize DDG. Some accuse DDG of clout chasing and ruining Halle's innocence. In return, DDG fans accuse Halle of being crazy or unstable. It's a nasty split, and right in the middle of it is Roc Nation / Beyonce, like a looming presence. It's almost mythological. Beyonce rarely addresses rumors, but her silence and power cause the internet to attribute moves to her anyway. If tomorrow DDG's YouTube channel got mysteriously hacked or his record deal fell through, a bunch of folks would immediately tweet, "Jay-Z and Bey don't play." So the facts are, Halle Bailey and DDG are embroiled in a serious legal dispute, with restraining orders and allegations flying both ways. It's ugly and sad, especially with a baby involved. The rumors are that Roc Nation via Beyonce or just its sheer influence is meddling, possibly threatening DDG, controlling media coverage, and doing whatever it can to secure a win for Halle in the court of public opinion and maybe actual court. From my perspective, the idea of Beyonce calling DDG to say, "Boy, I will end you," is morbidly funny because Beyonce publicly is so composed and regal. Alright, as the Halle and DDG saga continues to unfold, we turn to an even darker drama, one inside Roc Nation's own leadership. If you thought accusations and conspiracies were wild before, wait till you hear about the family feud at Roc Nation involving CEO DESIREE PEREZ. This one is straight out of a psychological thriller, a mother versus daughter legal battle with alleged secret plots and mental institution lockups. You can't make this shit up, and thank God we don't have to. Let's investigate. DESIREE PEREZ's daughter versus Roc Nation CEO. family drama, and abuse of power. Every powerful empire has a right-hand person in charge of day-to-day operations. At Roc Nation, that person is DESIREE PEREZ, the CEO and close confidant of Jay-Z. DESIREE PEREZ is a name that often stays behind the scene, but she's central to Roc Nation's story and, as it turns out, has quite a dark saga of her own. In an ironic twist, Roc Nation top executive is currently being sued by her own daughter, DeMaurice Perez Hadley, in a case that reads like a Netflix thriller. Roc Nation CEO DESIREE PEREZ has a complicated past, and by complicated, I mean she once flipped 35 kilos of cocaine to the feds, scored a presidential pardon, and now she's allegedly using mental health laws to ship her own daughter off to a psych ward. Her daughter, DeMaurice Hadley, filed a lawsuit accusing Perez of using unlawful influence to have DeMaurice forcibly committed to a psychiatric facility. In the lawsuit, DeMaurice claims her mother essentially weaponized mental health laws to break up DeMaurice's marriage. This isn't the first controversy for Perez. In the 1990s, she was arrested with 35 kilos of cocaine and became a DEA informant to avoid jail time, eventually climbing the ranks of Roc Nation and even receiving a presidential pardon in 2021. Let's break down the current lawsuit first. DeMaurice Hadley, age 29, is DESIREE PEREZ's daughter. In May 2025, DeMaurice filed a bombshell lawsuit in Florida accusing her mother of conspiring to have her wrongfully committed to a mental institution. According to the suit, DESIREE PEREZ, using her considerable wealth, power, and connection, orchestrated a scenario where DeMaurice was detained under Florida Baker's Act and Marchman Act against her will. For context, the Baker Act allows for involuntary psychiatric evaluation if someone is deemed a threat to themselves or others. The Marchman Act can be used for involuntary substance abuse treatment. These are serious measures typically reserved for people in acute mental health crises. DeMaurice says she wasn't a danger to anyone, yet she was effectively dragged into an institution for 2 weeks of hell, all because she claims her moms wanted to teach her a lesson and sabotage her marriage. Yes, you heard it right. The underlying motive per DeMaurice was that DESIREE PEREZ disapproved of DeMaurice's husband, Javon Hadley, and wanted them separated. In the lawsuit, DeMaurice alleges that her mother fabricated stories about DeMaurice, even falsely accusing DeMaurice's husband of domestic violence to justify getting DeMaurice locked up and isolated. Talk about my way or the highway parents and taken to a criminal extreme. DESIREE PEREZ didn't just allegedly whisper to a doctor, she apparently called in a whole crisis response team. The lawsuit mentions that Body for the Shows a mobile crisis unit instructing DeMaurice to get into the truck, essentially compelling her to come with them. A doctor consultant by phone signed off on committing DeMaurice, citing family reports that she had supposedly attempted an overdose the night before. Those family reports allegedly came from DESIREE and a relative. DeMaurice says that the overdose story was a plain lie. And here's the kicker, DeMaurice was tested for drugs at the facility and came up clean, yet they kept her locked up under a substance abuse law, the Marchman Act. In addition to the psychiatric hold, she spent nearly 2 weeks in 2 different facilities, pleading that she was sane and sober before finally being released in April 2025. She essentially went through her own personal horror movie, convinced her mother was behind it all. DESIREE PEREZ, of course, denies any wrongdoing. In fact, prior to DeMaurice's lawsuit, DESIREE herself filed a lawsuit against DeMaurice's husband, Javon, accusing him of years of abusing DeMaurice. DESIREE claims any actions she took were out of concern for her daughter's well-being. It is a classic he said, she said, but with a mother and a daughter on opposite sides. If the DeMaurice claims are true, it means the CEO of Roc Nation may have abused her influence to essentially kidnap her own adult child using legal loopholes. If Desiree's side is true, it means she believed her daughter was in a dangerous situation and used drastic measures to intervene. Either way, it's messy and very dark. Although there are disturbing videos involving DeMaurice and her husband, Javon Hadley, subjecting her to involuntary commitment only re-victimizes her and is entirely wrong. I believe Florida's Baker Act can be beneficial when applied thoughtfully, because individuals experience mental health crises often won't seek help on their own. Let's not gloss over DESIREE PEREZ's background, because it adds another layer to this dark side narrative. DESIREE isn't just any executive. She has a criminal past that rivals movie plot lines. In the mid-1990s, Desiree Perez was arrested with 35 keys of cocaine in her possession. Yes, 35 kilos. That's cartel level weight. Facing serious prison time, she made a fateful decision. She cut a deal with the feds. Perez agreed to become a DEA informant, even wearing a wire to help bust other drug traffickers. She reportedly helped the government lock up a bunch of people involved in the drug trade, which in hip-hop circles earns you the label snitch, which is kind of funny with Jay-Z's stance on snitches. Thanks to her cooperation, she avoided prison. Over the years, she transitioned into the nightlife and music business, becoming a close friend of Jay-Z and working with him and her husband, Juan Perez, also a Jay-Z associate, to run clubs like the 4040 Club. When Jay-Z founded Roc Nation in 2008, he brought Desiree on board, and by 2019, she rose to CEO. In a twist worthy of political drama, President Donald Trump granted Desiree Perez a full pardon in 2021 for her oath conviction, so her record was wiped clean, officially. Why does it matter? Well, it paints a picture of someone who is no stranger to skirting the law or cutting ethical corners. If the allegations by her daughter are true, one could say leopards don't change their spots. Perez once worked with authorities to take people down. Now she's accused of working with authorities, doctors, deputies, etc. to take her own daughter. The methods, subterfuge, manipulation, cooperation with official, oddly parallel her informant days, but for a twisted personal goal. Even within the music industry, Desiree Perez has been a controversial figure. Some OGs in hip-hop side-eye Jay-Z for working so closely with a former informant. Dame Dash, Jay-Z former business partner, once said when he learned who Desiree was, he was done dealing with Jay in certain ways.
Now, I seen you probably 2015 is when I first heard of the situation with Desiree Perez and Roc Nation. You broke it down on Sway.
No, next question.
So, the dark side of Roc Nation isn't just external stories, it's arguably embodied in its leadership. It also raises questions. Could this affect Desiree's role at Roc Nation? The case is ongoing, but if it gets uglier, does Jay stick by his long-term friend / exec, or does he distance himself like he did with Diddy? We'll get back to that. If Roc Nation were to lose Desiree, that's a major change. She's been instrumental in running the company. For now, it's just another shadow over the Roc Nation empire. Alright, as we leave the internal family feud of real life succession, hip-hop edition by the way, it's time to broaden our scope and talk about the broader network of power and secrets surrounding Roc Nation. And who better to examine than Jay-Z's famous friend and fellow hip-hop titan, Sean Diddy Combs. When two of the most powerful men in music are longtime buddies, you best believe there are rumors, some grounded in reality, some completely off the chart about what they've been up to together. Our final chapter delves into Jay-Z and Diddy's alleged connection, from business deals to bombshell allegations that link the two in ways that might give you the chills. Jay-Z and Diddy, brotherly bonds or sinister secrets? It's hard to mention Jay-Z without thinking of Sean Diddy Combs, formerly Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or Love. He changes names like passwords. The two icons have been intertwined for decades. They rose from the 90s hip-hop scene to billionaire mogul status, often appearing side by side at industry events, lavish parties, and even in each other's music projects. On the surface, Jay-Z and Diddy relationship is one of camaraderie and mutual respect. Two self-made men who enjoyed fine champagne and the finer things in life. They've attended countless parties together, including Diddy's legendary all-white dress code parties in the Hamptons. These all-white parties were the celebrity event of the early 2000s. Champagne, celebrities, and who knows what else behind closed doors. Jay-Z is confirmed to have attended at least one such bash in 2000. The same parties that years later would be described in lawsuits as scenes of alleged sexual assaults and wild behavior. Indeed, some of Diddy's current accusers mention his Hampton parties as places where awful things happened to them. There are photos of Jay and Diddy living it up at these events, arm in arm with the likes of Jennifer Lopez, Beyoncé, and others, smiling for the cameras while allegedly darker things lurked off camera. So what could be dark? Power, money, and longevity can breed some ugly things. Let's talk allegations. In late 2023, an absolute bombshell dropped. A lawsuit accused both Jay-Z and Diddy of raping a 13-year-old girl in 2000. This was an anonymous Jane Doe who filed a civil lawsuit under New York's temporary window for old sex crimes, the Adult Survivors Act. act. She claimed that as a young teen, she was lured to a hotel after party following the 2000s VMAs and was drugged, assaulted by multiple men, notably naming Sean Diddy Combs and Sean Jay-Z Carter as two of her attackers. That is an explosive claim that tied the two men together in a horrifying way. Jay-Z vehemently denied it, calling the allegations heinous and a frivolous money grab, and even saying it was an attempt to blackmail him. Diddy also denied it. The lawsuit was publicly filed in November 2023, and just a couple of months later, in early 2024, the woman dropped the suit voluntarily. The case was dismissed with prejudice, meaning she can't refile it. No official reason was given, and one could only speculate why she withdrew. But for the time it was active, it was the first time Jay-Z had ever been directly accused of sexual assault, and it was with Diddy together. This immediately fueled all the long-standing conspiracy talk about industry sex parties, secret pacts, and blood sacrifice that a certain corner of the internet loved to chat about. As of 2025, Sean Combs is actually on trial in New York, accused of running a sort of decade-long ring of abuse, effectively treating his network as an organized crime ring for sex crimes. It's like something out of a crime drama, and Diddy could face many years in prison if convicted. Where does Jay-Z figure into that? Officially, Jay-Z is not charged with anything related to Diddy case. However, the fact that Jay's name does surface in that one civil suit and via rumors of those wild parties put Roc Nation in the splash zone. Jay-Z publicly stated that the claims against him were false, caused tremendous trauma to his family. One can imagine that Beyoncé was not happy about her husband being named in such a context. For conspiracy theorists, this was a vindication of long whispered theories. People for years tossed around stories that Diddy hosts depraved parties where anything goes, and that other moguls like Jay-Z either participated or at least knew about it. These two have always projected an image of ultimate cool and success, so seeing words like racketeering and sex trafficking even adjacent to their names is surreal. As of now, Jay-Z has not been charged with anything. Roc Nation isn't just a record label or management company. To some, it's an all-powerful entity, a puppet master orchestrating outcomes in the music world and beyond. Is that entirely true? Possibly. Reality is messier and less coordinated than conspiracies would have us believe. But the perception of Roc Nation as a shadowy empire exists because of stories like these. The bigger Roc Nation has gotten, the more baggage seems to pile up at its doorstep. Some of it self-made, hello DESIREE. Some of it guilt by association, hello Diddy. And some of it the cost of doing business in a cutthroat industry. Sorry Tory and Carl Crawford. The dark side of Roc Nation is essentially the dark side of the music industry itself. Like, subscribe, share, and tell me what you think in the comments about DESIREE PEREZ, Megan Thee Stallion, and Halle Bailey. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.